Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning into Anfield Road TV. As the title does say, subtitles are not available on this video because it's two Scouse lads having a natter about footy. And I'd apologise, but not really, because I'm not asked what you all think. So, yeah, nice one. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone. Subscribe if you can be asked, not too asked. But hit that subscribe button if you do, and dislike it if you dislike the content. So, big up. Tom, thank you very much for tuning in, mate, or joining me. Talk about probably two of the worst teams in the Premier League this season.
No, thank you for having me on.
You're always welcome, mate. And big up chat as well. Absolute legends. Big up Shay. As I said, hope you've had a good week, mate. As I said, let me know what you've been up to. And everyone, let us know your thoughts going into this game. I am absolutely dreading going into this game, Tom. I've been speaking to you this week. It could either go, of course, it can go either one or two ways. I said at the intro, this is probably two teams that have been very disappointing, in all honesty, in terms of way we'll speak about it tonight, mate. But as I said, disappointing in terms of how Liverpool have played, mate. But considering obviously the result, we'll speak about the Arsenal result for you, mate. But what you're feeling and what you anticipate the Everton fans really going into this game? Do you think there'll be a lot of, obviously, not a lot of confidence for either side, mate, but what's your feeling going into this game?
Personally, for me, I think we've probably, this season, we knew there was going to be we wouldn't say a massive drop, but, a little slight improvement, but it hasn't really happened. And, as much as Lampard tried to do his own little tactics in there, it didn't work. And obviously that's probably resulted in him getting the sack. For me, for Liverpool, getting the big drop, they've been the most disappointing this year. I thought they would have been a bit more consistent and follow from last year, but now you've actually dropped so massively. It's even made City look like, well, what's the point of even go for the league if Liverpool aren't going to chase us for it? But leading up to this fixture on Monday, I think Everton have got more confidence than what Liverpool probably have.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think we'll get to everyone's comments as well. Chat, let us know your thoughts, your expectations, and your reality, really. I think come what kick off on Monday night, I think both sets of supporters will be back to cloud nine. I think we'll be going on that pitch and probably, not to jump ahead, but my score prediction is a draw. Whether that be a 0-0, I'm probably going towards that, being a 0-0. But big up chat as well. And for everyone, if you are watching on the repeat, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, let us know your thoughts. And if you are tuning in live, we will feature all your comments as always. How's everyone doing? Not too bad, Mark. Thank you for tuning in, mate. Thoughts, not looking forward to this game. I'd agree with you there, Shay. 100%. Not looking forward to this, be honest, as well, Mark. Big up Eamons. All right, Jack and Tom. All right, mate. Hope you had a good day.
Saffron, lad.
Importantly. But it's obviously going into this from a Liverpool point of view as well, chat, as we've seen. Quite well documented today, especially on Liverpool social media accounts. You've got Virgil van Dijk back in full training. Firmino back in full training. Jota back in full training. Whether to be seen, if they'll be fit for Monday night, time will tell. But the positive really going into this game is that they are somewhat in contention. And first and foremost, they are in first team training, which is a massive positive. Not just for Monday night, but you've got to look past that as well in terms of long term, especially the Real Madrid tie coming up. And I've spoke to everyone on the channel this season. I think Jota, yes, you can talk about the quality in which Virgil van Dijk does offer. Sometimes not a lot this season, but in terms of Jota's, his match-winning goals are so integral. Tell me, not a neutral, but in terms of how big of an impact do you think Jota, the absence of Jota, has had on Liverpool, especially this season?
I think it's had a huge impact for us, to be honest. Because he could either play on the wings or he could slot into that middle role, which, ideally, at this current moment, you need someone to do that. As much as Darwin's been performing well, he just hasn't banged in the goals, and that's probably the most unfortunate thing for him because he is trying his hardest to try and do that and trying to, get his goal tally up really from the start. All right, he's probably scored a few goals, but maybe just by sheer luck. But with Jota being in that middle, he's got more of a presence because he knows how to work that opponent's defence as more as Darwin likes to run behind the defence instead of being in that main area.
Yeah, more natural clinical side to his game, mate, as we see. Yeah, 100%, mate. Big up Niall as well from the upper tier as well, mate. I will get it on very soon, mate. I'll drop you a message after the stream, mate. Obviously, that's available this coming week. You're very welcome. I'll drop you the post-match reaction link after we do a post-match. Hopefully, the reaction is for Liverpool win, but depends how you're feeling, how I'm feeling as well after that game. I know Tom's laughing, but we might go missing a lot of us on social media if it goes a certain way. I'm dreading to think about that, but it can happen. But big up Niall. Mods, can you please drop, obviously, Niall's channel link in the description? I know I did tune in just before then, mate, obviously. So big up there now. I was watching the video before we do go live, mate. Big it up. Keep up doing the content, mate, as always. We'll get it on very soon. All good. That's good to hear, mate. Good to hear. Chat, as I said, Mark, upper tier. Nice one there, Mark. Appreciate that. So, obviously, head over to the upper tier podcast as well. Make sure please do head over, subscribe. And as I said, massive supporters of mine and another massive supporter of mine and my good mate. Big up Mick, as I said, who's absolutely smashed it. He's no Mick, but if you don't, please, Mark, do drop Mick's channel link. Him and Christian, obviously, absolutely smashing it. Got top guests on as well. But, yeah, Mick, as I said, the invite's there on Monday night, mate. But depending on how the result goes, I think a lot of us will disappear. But we just spoke about, obviously, you alluded to, obviously, this. Firstly, I'll ask you, Tom, in terms of your point of view, in terms of the sacking of Frank Lampard, and we'll manoeuvre into, obviously, the appointments of Slaphead Phil Mitchell, whatever you want to call him, Midar. Lampard, do you think, for you personally, was it his right time to go, really, in all honesty? Do you think a lot of Everton fans got to the end of their tether, or was he more or less a shield for the board in reality to very much someone had to go when it was Frank?
Yeah, I think that's probably more. I know there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes at the club as well, and I think a lot of the fans are calling for the board's head. And personally, I think it's more of a protection for them why they sacked Lampard, just to say, "Oh, well, we haven't got the results." I think Lampard might have got heavily involved in the backroom board, and probably that's maybe affected them and performances from players, because he's probably said to players, "Listen, if we're not performing, I'm going." Yeah. But I think personally, maybe Lampard was probably the wrong appointment from the start. All right, he did do his wonders, tried to keep us up, and he did keep us up in the end.
I felt he's done a great job, lad.
Yeah, I bet you did, yeah. But I think personally, like I said it on Doug's, I think anyone that was going to come in at that time probably would have got shot down, regardless. So because we're not in the best financial situation, FFP's hit us hard, obviously, because we're spending too much money. It's one of them.
Since 1995. They haven't won a trophy.
There we go. What an entrance stuff we were in event.
Since 1995. Everybody!
We are playing absolutely rubbish. I tell you what, Tom's going to clip this video now and send that.
Oh, mate. I'm clipping it. I can't wait for Monday's podcast, boys, if we're doing one.
What happens?
I'm gone for the week, mate.
But you know what happens if we do lose? They still haven't won a trophy.
Listen, I don't care. As long as we beat you, that's better than winning a trophy.
That's a crack time, Yanni.
Oh, good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Hi, in a good mood. That's nice.
I am, yeah. Yeah,
good. Yeah. Well, obviously, everyone knows Spider. But we'll get to all your comments as well. And it doesn't look too good for us this season. It never does. Big up Mick, as I said. Absolute legend, Mark. And you drop, obviously, Mick and the lads podcast link in the comments, please, matey, if you can. Can see any players back from injury for this game. As I said, Mark, as I alluded to, the players that were featured in today's press release in terms of the pictures. Looking positive, really, but fingers crossed. Don't be cheers, buds. Imagine Gomez trying to handle Tarkowski. Oh, I let Kev try and maneuver his way through that debacle anyway, because that's one talking point that we will be speaking about, obviously, from a tactical sense for Liverpool and Everton. Dyche is perfect for Everton with this situation now at the moment. It'll be steady the ship, but long term, would they want Dyche there? Well, Tom, before I ask Kev, obviously, his thoughts on that, mate. Obviously, you alluded to the Lampard sacking. For you, just quickly, you probably answered it, mate, but was it the right decision for you for Lampard and then just lead into, obviously, Sean Dyche? Your thoughts?
I do think it was probably the right time for him to go, because as much as he tried from the beginning of the season, try different tactics, different formation, rotating players, trying to find the best, and it just hasn't worked, and it's just got into a position where we're in now. And but having Dyche, he's simple, goes back to basics. He knows what he wants from his players. He wants his players to die for the shirt. I'm not saying that Lampard didn't want his players to die for the shirt, but Dyche wants warriors, and he keeps things simple, and like look at the game against Arsenal. Simple pressure, corner, set pieces are probably the most important thing, and we got the goal from a set piece, which, to be fair, we haven't been doing a lot lately. We did have a good defensive record at the beginning of the season till it all slipped up. But hopefully Dyche can get that back starting again. And
yes, Kev and Liverpool fans alike as well, we have conceded the same amount of goals as the Ev. So, as I said, top of the show, both of us are playing absolutely appalling. And
No. Excuse me. We're not playing. We're both not playing appalling. Liverpool are playing appalling. Everton are just playing normal.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you know what I mean? So we could. Sorry, Tom.
True.
Find out Monday, lads. We'll find out Monday.
This is what I like about this week. It's all about banter. It's all about having a laugh.
Sensible banter as well. We can wind down.
Yeah. And a bit of a laugh, I think that with regards to Dyche and Everton and stuff like that, it's kind of happened with Everton with most of the managers. I think they get a little bit of a boost when a new manager comes in. They play a couple of games well, or the first game well, and then it just dies off completely after that. It just all depends. I think Dyche has been brought in to steady the ship, really, and to not concede as many goals. That's all it's about. It's not about scoring goals, really, with Dyche. It's about not conceding too much and hoping to get draw after draw with a win, draw kind of thing, It's just he's a good, I think he deserves a job at a top club. It's just a shame he went to Everton. But
wow. It's only because Liverpool hate it when they've got a Dyche team against them. That's why.
I think I was saying that sentence and I goes, oh, that's the perfect time for an Everton joke. As I was thinking it. So I was going to, but no. I think that Dyche will do well. I think it's going to take him a couple of games. He'll get a couple of good results in those games. We've had good Liverpool. Yeah, we come up against he's staunch on Burnley side, but then we've come up against them the majority of times and absolutely hammered these sides. It's just that sometimes they turn up and they were kind of like the last Stoke. You had the Stoke before that used to kick the crap out of people. You'd Wimbledon back in the 80s used to kick the crap out of people, not playing enough attractive football, but just getting the job done. And that's kind of what Dyche brings to the table with most clubs that he manages. So look, I'd expect a feisty affair, but the good thing is that it's at Anfield is the main thing, is what I think. If it was that good as to know, I'd be slightly more worried about a loss. With the fact that it's at Anfield. And I know he didn't win there for 20 years before that, and he got a good result against us a couple of seasons ago. But it's still at Anfield, and we haven't played there recently. The last couple of games have all been away from home. We haven't had the chance to settle in really. The only one we've had is a Wolves FA Cup game there or something, and that's about it. And that was a draw. So and that was the first game in a while at Anfield as well. So yeah, there's a few games coming up now at home. And I think that's the main point. And if any game that Liverpool fans or Liverpool team is up for, it's got to be Everton or United, coming to Anfield. And I think that can kickstart anybody's season. Also, as long as Everton show a good account of themselves, I think no matter what happens, I think Dyche will steady their ship anyway. I've less thoughts that they'll be relegated this season with him there.
This is going to be one of Liverpool's toughest fixtures in the last couple of months. I watched that Arsenal game, and Dyche is a very misunderstood manager because I've watched quite a lot of podcasts with him, obviously. And obviously, it's only since I've watched all these podcasts and actually really their thoughts. And he speaks about how people brand him as a manager correctly, so with a defensive mindset, the type of style in which he plays. He's openly said on the podcast I've watched. There's a couple of good podcasts, obviously the High Performance podcast with him and Jake Humphries and the other host, apologies for his name, but go and check it out because he's very misunderstood. Even if he said on those podcasts, if he had more of a budget or more funds, really, he'd say he himself would be a lot more expansive. But he was given tools at his previous clubs, i.e. Burnley, got them into Europe one season, didn't he? And I think him and Everton are a match made in heaven, in all honesty. I think if they truly believe, obviously in Dyche, we've seen it with David Moyes, obviously prior to his move. Did he leave Hughes for a United job, Tom, was it? Or did he?
Yeah.
Who, David Moyes?
Yeah.
Or did he move from West Ham?
No, he moved from Everton to United.
Yeah. So, even still, they were probably, you class them as Everton's most successful seasons with Moyes, would you say, Tom? Since he's left? Or obviously you had that one season with...
We had that one season with Martinez, weren't we?
Oh, yeah, Martinez, yeah.
But apart from that, Moyes probably been the most successful in terms of getting us to the top four more
consistently.
Well, when you think in your head about how managers have been good for Everton in the last 20 years, the first name that passed into my head is David Moyes. It's the only one that he was kind of like Everton through and through. With Sean Dyche, in saying it, man, he's got funds now, so let's see what he can do with it. I don't think, as even as Eamon pointed out, Eamon said exactly what I said. Everton under a new manager tend to step up their game. They tend to win that game because they tend to, whatever they do in the tunnel, whatever they do in the build-up, whatever they do, they tend to slightly put a bit of an intimidation on the other team, and especially at Goodison Park, because it is it's similar to Anfield and how the fans react. A lot of people say it's just as good as atmosphere when they're on a bad spell that they really get up behind the team, So, for me, if once he's given the funds to go through in the summer, if he keeps them up, I think he'll be successful at Everton as much as he can be. But it all depends on what he does. But my worry is looking at you after this weekend, after this Monday coming. My focus now is just kind of on what I think the game is going to be, and I'm still going on past results for Everton and just a game boost of a new manager against Arsenal. It's the only way I'm thinking. And if they do it again, then you got to start looking at Everton maybe making progress. But even Liverpool at the top of their game were losing to sides that were in a relegation battle. Watford and all that.
Was it you, Tom, that told me that you've put a bet on News finishing up? Was it mid-table or above us in the league or something? Did I speak to you last week? Was it this week? Oh no, I was speaking to Ryan. Yeah, my mate Ryan.
No, I was lying, weren't I?
Yeah. You put a bet on finishing above us. You get to sit mad odds, but I'll tell you what, if Liverpool continue playing like we have this. Last couple of weeks,
it's mad when you think about it, because Liverpool, where they stand, they're 11 points behind top four, and they're 11 points behind relegation, in front of the relegation battle as well. Yeah. So you sat bang in the middle.
We were worse off though in 2021. We lost 6 home games in a row at this stage just coming up, and then we ended up going on a mad streak. We never thought we'd get anywhere near the top four, because we went from 4 points behind top four down to 14, 15. And then we ended up putting it back up we ended up getting third and only 4 behind United in second. And that was United's best season in years. They still finished 18 points behind City at the top. City walked the league ahead of everybody else. So, and plus Wolves has only been was it the first game after the turn? Chelsea was the last game in the first half of the season. and Wolves was the one that was no, that was the rescheduled one. So the Brentford one, I think, was the one that was the start of it. So we're only coming into the second game.
Whoever we play with, we've been after season, mate.
Yeah.
And as we've already spoke about in previous videos, all of us, like even Everton fans going into this fixture, like Tom, you want to see a response. And I think the response from both sector teams this season is quite frankly not being up to the standards is which regards even bloody Conference League football.
Our problem is over the top balls and counter attacks. We've been playing well when we're controlling the ball, but the biggest issue is the fact that one pass has just been cutting through the defence for some reason because our midfielders just hasn't been good enough. And that's
Everton's midfield. Would you say? I was going to say that's who's bad in a sec. Is Everton's midfield better than Liverpool's at this current moment?
If you'd have said to me with Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago in there, I'd say yeah, and you would never think I'd say that because that would have been our best midfield. But if Boycheta's just playing the way he is recently, and he does play alongside Thiago, and we just get somebody to play well with him, then I'd say yeah, no, there's a good battle going on in there. But at the moment, no, Everton's is better.
Onana.
Yeah, I think at the current moment, it doesn't matter who you put in midfield. I think. Yeah. Looking against what we've done against Arsenal, all right, I'm saying that's a one-off game. All right, that's the first game that Dice came in. But if that comes into play on Monday, I think we're going to run you over in midfield completely.
Because Arsenal play with a midfield three as well, chat, didn't he? I think Odegaard, I remember watching that game. He didn't have a Scooby-Doo what was happening, in all honesty.
Was just hint to change in formation?
Not too well. I watched the presser today, but I don't. We done it. Was it? Yeah, Tom. We played. Was it Carvalho and Elliott, and then we played Fabinho. I think it was. Was it that? That was against Goodison a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? When we played last time, the reverse fixture this season. Yeah, that was the midfield that we played. We played Carvalho, Elliott, both in the 2-6. Well, not the 2-6, 2-7-8, whatever position you want to call them, and then obviously the Fabinho in that 6 role, but. We'll get to everyone's comments as well before we get more in depth. Jake, big up, mate. Good Everton, mate. Get it on, Jake, obviously, for the post-match. If you're not too busy celebrating whatever the result is, but big up, mate. Thank you for tuning in, most importantly, mate. And I said, I know you've just come out of hospital, so as I said, mate, if you need anything, you're only around the corner, mate, so just give us a buzz and I'll pop around and over as any way I possibly can, mate. But keep us updated how you getting on, mate. But good to see you at home, mate. Thank you for tuning in as well, mates. In the last 5 managers, obviously Spider alluding to the comments as well before. Everton won their first game. Look how that ended. Speaking in big trouble, Eamon. The atmosphere has died down at Anfield. Just hoping it picks up for this game, obviously. We spoke about that already this week, didn't we? Don't start it. Big up, Daz. Big up, Jack and panel. Hope you're well, Daz. Good to see you in here as always, mate. Thank you for tuning in. As I said, chat, get your thoughts on. I like Dyche. Good to see him back in the Prem. Obviously, Eamons. I like him as I said, very misjudged type of manager, in all honesty. And I was one of them that really, apart from until I watched the podcast he was on, completely changed my mindset on him. Are you doing good? No, I wish it was Alan. Wish it was, mate. I haven't got the ticket for this game, mate. But as I said, subtitles aren't available on tonight's stream. Not just for me and Tom, but for obviously for Kev as well. So try and
what the fuck are you talking
about? Just watch it on backwards if you can, like minus 10 speed or whatnot. You'll be sound.
If you listen to this backwards, it's just going to be Tommy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we'll apologise to absolutely no one. But yeah, Dyche will get more out of his players than Lampard ever would. He had to go as well.
Is it me? Or does Lampard just seem like a spoiled kid syndrome? When I look at it,
he's a massive Tory, mate. That's right.
Yeah, he just seems like somebody who can't. That's been kind of. I understand he played well for Chelsea and did all of that, but he's never seemed kind of genuine in what he does. He's always seemed like it's just been. How would I say it? It's like it's a made in Chelsea, made in Chelsea type
It was
manager.
like-
You can't look
I
up to
know,
him.
I know what you mean. I know what you're trying to get
Yeah.
at there as well. Yeah, but
But
I've
your
always,
thoughts
I always said that on Doug's show. Just like I do feel sorry in a way because obviously at the time we were in the worst situation possible, and we just had to get someone in. I'm not saying that he was the only resourceful manager we could get. We could have got someone else in. I think it probably would have happened to them as well. But I don't know. I think if he came into the where we weren't hit by like FFP and everything else, maybe he probably might have done well.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think that Sean Dyche is let's say a man's man. You know, he seems like one of these, like him and
I think-
Allardyce's.
Yeah,
and,
one to that point as well. You spot on
yeah.
there, mate. Was it Tom? It was sorry there, lad. Didn't he like? I don't know if you've seen it, Kev or chat.
Yeah.
Didn't he like? I was speaking to Ryan this week. Didn't he get all the players to wear the same socks or something? Like
Yeah, he
that?
went back to basics and said he said you got to wear socks, shin pads, get rid of these hats, these neck warmers. He was like,
He banned the snoods, didn't he? Or like
yeah,
the
that's
neck-
what it is. The neck warmers. He's like everything has to go because you don't wear them in a match, so you're not wearing them in training.
There you go.
Yeah. So sorry, there.
You're perfectly. That's exactly what I meant. He's an old school manager with modern ideas, and I think that only benefits Everton in the long run if he gets a few bob together behind him. And man, I would love for us to get back to things. I'd like to see Everton get back to top. I would love to see a three-way battle between Liverpool, Everton, and United for the league because I think that'll be one of the best seasons you'll ever watch in your life. Because nobody really cares when Chelsea are involved. Nobody really cares when
all of England.
Yeah.
The whole of England already hates Merseyside.
Yeah.
So if Liverpool and Everton were on top, they hate us even more. So
but that's the thing. I just think like with these teams involved, I mean, Arsenal to be in there, I'd rate them over all the rest of them. But I think a four-way battle there for a league between these teams would be spot on. Even Newcastle coming into the fray.
What it used to be, was it in the 70s, Kev? I don't know.
70s or
70s, 80s.
Yeah. Obviously, winning titles after titles. Yeah. That's what it used to be. It'd be mad to actually go back in the time machine, but if there's anyone that was around then, let us know. Which I know there will be. Let us know, obviously, what that time was. It would have been
I was a bad I was a bad
I was going to say, I'm going to give away your age, lad.
32.
I'm too polite. I should have went, how old were you, lad?
32. Actually, I had a great compliment today. I was standing next to a fellow who was almost fully balding, and then there was another lad who was a granddad.
It wasn't me dad, was it?
Nah. And the lads just couldn't believe when I told them my age. Like they just said, "What?" Like one dude looks about 20 years older than me, and the other dude is like 20 years older than me, and they just couldn't believe like that my age. They thought I was way younger than what I was. So that's a great compliment from two men.
Take it while you can, eh?
Take it while I can. This is getting greer by the day, though.
Yeah. Right, enjoyed a big up level as well. Enjoy this blue child season. No service will presume by giving you a lot of good hiding as well. And chat, obviously, for all the Reds, if there's a blue in there, obviously I know Jake was watching. Let us know, Red or everyone in chat, just let us know. Do you think Everton are staying in the league? I do, Kev.
I think if they should keep them up. I think Forest will be in danger. I think there's going to be worse teams out there if they don't have a Sean Dyche type manager. If Sean Dyche didn't keep him up, what could you possibly do? Like, were Everton preparing for life in the Championship with a Sean Dyche kind of to bounce them straight back up? They probably have that in the mindset as well. What manager can probably keep us up, and at the same time, if we go down, bounce us straight back up? And Sean Dyche is probably a manager would think of straight away to do it. So I still think they'll stay up now.
That squad's still good enough. That's like probably 12th to 15th position team. It's still good, isn't it?
Yeah, they just don't want to play for a manager. I mean, look, they're coming to Liverpool at the right time. Us and Chelsea have probably had the biggest hangovers this season. I know a doggy. Sorry,
is that Lampard in the dungeon?
I wish, yeah.
Yeah. So so us and Chelsea have had the longest seasons ever last season. I mean, we played probably one more game than Chelsea throughout the entire league season, and they've struggled with the amount of people they bought in the summer, and then they bought again now, and then it's going to take integration. Now they're going to get in trouble with FFP, obviously. From next season onwards, and with regards to whatever happens to City, they're going to be in big trouble as well. But with us, we need midfield investment You know, there's a couple of youths coming through that can do a job. You know, I'm hoping that Boychetis is doing well now.
Another centre half as well, though, mate.
We definitely 100%.
And you know me, Kevin, chat. You know me. I've been one of it's a lot. Probably too positive in terms of the last 12 months with Joe Gomez, but the last couple of weeks, I said, it was safeguard his value, of course, but Christ, if he continues defending like that, there's no defending this lad. Like he's jumping out of the front post and all that. It's like, come on.
So that goal last week, he tried to clear it from the front post. He keeps heading it into the penalty spot, and that's where the goal came from. And you know, the first goal is a deflection from Matip. The second goal is a headed ball from Gomez straight to the player to score the goal. You know, that's been our biggest fault, is not being able to clear it properly out from the back, and lads winning second chances on us. So
Van Dijk's not going to be always there, Kev, to hold his hands. Same with Ebo as well.
That's it.
My thing with being a Liverpool fan is I follow the team and I'm ruthless against anybody. I would support any player wearing the red shirt at the time, but if we are playing like this, then it's time to bring in bigger guns. So Kanate is one that's definitely for the future. Van Dijk is world class as it is, and he's not going to be there, as you said, for longer. Matip is on his way out, and Gomez is not good enough. So for me, we need to bring in a big centre half and develop another one. So I would even try Fabinho on the back there. He played well when he was a centre half. If Matip is going, I would bring him as the fourth choice, and then we Gomez out and bring in one more big player if we needed to.
I'd agree, but Jesus, Fabinho for me, he's not been well. I think we're very hard pressed. Every Liverpool fan really are picking this current squad the way it's playing, mate. But I'd probably agree with him, mate. But as we get to everyone's comments as well, big up Ike as well. Thank you for tuning in, mate. Obviously, just everyone's saying, big up, bro. They should only in 20 cigarettes, smoking madman. Tom, does he even smoke? I'm guessing. I think that's just his.
I haven't got a clue. It's not like I've seen him out on the touchline having a ciggy, like.
I suppose everyone said.
There's probably loads of photos of him at the Champions League final when he went to support Liverpool.
Yeah, well, technically, the interviews are out there, Tom. Rumours were that he did turn up with a red tie on, and then he asked him to take it off. But it's a lot of hearsay and a lot of.
Wouldn't surprise me if he'd done that, you know.
Yeah, well, they haven't found. You were probably the biggest human after the who was it? The red Christmas tree. Who was it? Koeman, Ronald Koeman. Was it Koeman? That had the red.
Yeah, Coleman.
Coleman.
Probably Coleman. Yeah.
Yeah, like outside of the Merseyside, that doesn't make headlines, but on Merseyside, that was all over the echo. So like, he's got a red tree, red Christmas decorations. But yeah, as EK said, that was Sean Dice. Hopefully, mate, he will be barking orders on the touchline on Monday night. I don't know,
be barking a club ball, like, can't wait for that Barney to kick off again.
Oh yeah, do you want to give you the trophy to? He's. This is another manager that.
Who are you saying about your German sausage? How you doing? How you saying? No, I say, have a schnitzel. Shut up.
Tom Lampard's won. I won an argument with Jurgen Klopp on the touchline. Are you going to give that award to Dicey as well?
Probably, yeah.
Is it got to be on a CV that you've got to have rattled Jurgen Klopp on the touchline?
Yeah, if you don't win an argument with Klopp on the touchline, you can't get the job, mate.
Well, that's what I love. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see from Jurgen. And so I see him in the presser, on the touchline. He's like us. Like, I want to see Tommy. Like all of us, any football fan, you want to see that emotion from your manager. Is that something that, as you mentioned, alluded to before, mate, that Lampard, yes, where he was saying the right things, but do you really truly think that he got Everton, in all honesty, in terms of emphasising it's all right him talking to certain fans, but
I think him being there for like the 18 months, he understood what it was to be an Evertonian. I think he tried to implement that into the team, but I think the players just didn't get it at the same time. I think the players were just looking at the other way, and I think trying to implement that with everything else, it just didn't work, especially with the board, or the hatred going towards the board, and it just wasn't going the right direction for us personally. And for Lampard, like I said, I feel sorry for him. It's not like he was a bad manager. I just think his tactics just didn't go the right way for him at this current moment.
Yeah, and big up. Keep on getting your comments in, everyone. Obviously, level, big up, mate. I think Everton will do us. I've gone with a draw. I've gone with a 0-0. Want us to absolutely batter them 4-0, but I'm being realistic. I predicted Wolves to beat us. Unexpected ball draw. Unless something miraculous happens where actually this Liverpool team does turn up, but that's being me far too naive to really just put me red tinted glasses on and hoping that Everton's going to be better. You know me, I try to be as positive as possibly can, but got to be realistic in all honesty. I think as me and Spider alluded to, obviously this week on our atmosphere video, that needs to be in our favour. But even still, with the atmosphere, these players need a massive rocket up the backside, in all honesty. But I think
we're at an all-time low there, dude, at the moment. And this game has to be Liverpool. The team itself has to be up for it. Whatever about the fans will get up for it. Anyone wants to see the team playing well on the pitch. But the team has to get up for it. And it's because you're at an all-time low, there's only up. And a win against Everton, especially when they won the last game against the league leaders and new manager coming in and the banter situation and everything like that, it's the perfect time for Liverpool to start the turnaround the season, especially with the games that we have coming up. There's Everton there, Newcastle are in, Real Madrid, Newcastle, Manchester United, all coming up. And this is the time for Liverpool to really just pull up their socks and start playing. I can't say much. Darwin Núñez has tried his arse off. Cody Gakpo has been great at coming back and winning the ball in midfield, similar to what Bobby did for a long time. Now, has he got the same link-up play as Bobby? Maybe not yet, because that's not his style. But he is winning balls from the front. As we said, the defense. Andy Robertson is run ragged over there because he just doesn't have help from the midfield. It's just getting that midfield trio right and doing the right thing.
We'll come to obviously start 11 very soon, mate.
Yeah. So it just it all just means I'm not going to do a starting 11. No, it just means no. It just means that that's the problem right there, and that part has to be sorted. And even if it's just game by game, but just seeing it being implemented is what needs to be done. Klopp says it himself. He said it in these last couple of pressers. He doesn't know what's going on there. He has to go back to the drawing board. What's happening with this midfield, and maybe change the style of it. Maybe move Thiago different positions. Maybe whatever you can. You don't want to hinder a player, as a good anchor. But it's just there's so much happening there. It's Everton at home in the league where we've just lost the last couple in a row at a lower point. It was similar in 2021, and we had no defense and had no midfield. We're in a better position now than we were then to step up. And if it does require a couple of young players like Bajcetic and stuff like that stepping up to get involved in the game, then so be it. I want to see a showing from Salah. That is the main thing. Salah needs to turn up, and there's no better game for him to turn up against Everton because he hasn't turned up in the last 6 games. And
this is, as Spars alluded to, there's one environment that you can't lose. It's all right doing it against, it's not all right doing it against Wolves, but doing it in a Merseyside derby, you can very much quickly be found out. But so I wanted to ask you, in terms of, obviously, we alluded to at the top of the show, that great result that he's got against Arsenal. For you, and from an Everton point of view, what really impressed you the most, or what did you enjoy about that performance fundamentally? What really shone in terms of any tactical aspects, something that you've been surprised with, and obviously in recent showings that you've not seen in the league?
It was a great performance against Arsenal. We battered them in every sense of up and down the pitch. There was a few times we were quite lucky where the Saka one was off the line with Cody clearing it. Tarkowski was fantastic. Even Coleman had a great game as well. Mikalenko seemed he was up for it. I know a few of the fans had a little dip with him, Mikalenko, but he performed really well. What I liked how we played against Arsenal is how pressing we were. It wasn't just singly pressing, but we were pressing in packs. They're like a pack of hyenas, just asking for the ball and closing down these players. And it worked, and it just shut off Arsenal completely. Onana had a fantastic game, just bullied Odegaard everywhere. I think the main factor was the core coming into that midfield as well. As I know Iwobi was doing well in that midfield, but I think with him being put on a wing, he could still be quite creative. More because with Onana and Decore, they've got the legs to go up and down. as Iwobi's only got the legs just to go up, and he's only good at pressing, I think, personally. He's not good at coming back and defending. As the Corey and Onana can do that, and Gallagher could just be the little anchor man then and just hover between them. And it worked.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Any injury concerns for Everton coming into this game that you're aware of? Obviously, players coming potentially back.
I've seen that Calvert-Lewin might picked up a knock, but I'm not too sure. I think I'm hoping he starts on Monday anyway, but I think he said he might have to do another scan. Not too sure on that one.
Yeah, probably his handbag weighing him down, in all honesty.
Probably, mate.
Calvert-Lewin, yeah.
Is he ever injury-free, that fella?
It's worrying, isn't it?
Players, isn't he, boys? Yeah. Like, if you think about it, Tom, obviously a time out with Ancelotti, I think Ancelotti got the best out of him, like for that 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. Ancelotti probably is the only manager who's probably got the best out of him, because he basically said to him, "I want you in that box. I don't want you outside the box. I just want you in that box, because you'll be getting." It was basically like a prime Inzaghi when Ancelotti was there. Just getting the scraps in and putting them in the goal.
He's good at the head. He's good at getting to the ball first. Is Calvert-Lewin, but it's Ancelotti like Calvert-Lewin was like top for the goal scoring charts by a good few goals that season as well, wasn't he? Before everything kind of went tits up. But it's I think he's a good striker when he plays the proper way. He's accurate as well in most of his headers, most of his shots. It's very rarely that he misses the target. It's just a matter of getting the right manager to bring it over. Maybe Dyche will do the same as Ancelotti. They're a similar style of manager, where he'll tell him, "You sit in the box. I don't even want to see you out in the middle of the park. Just stay in there and just do what you need to do." And that's it. And I'm thinking, the only thing that I'm thinking from the other night that I'm taking away, because I'm going to be a bit, because as good as Everton played the other night and stuff like that, I'm also going to look at the fact that Arsenal had a bit of a dip as well in how they played. There's a couple of players looked a bit leggy, but at the same time, we'll know that there's an issue there by the next 2 games for Arsenal. And I think over the next 2 games we can see, all right, so the Everton game, the press really started to put the tired legs on Arsenal, and then Arsenal starting to get more tired as games go on. And this is the kind of point in the season where you see the top teams kind of dropping off a little bit in their pace, at least 2 of them, and then the rest of the team starting to pick up a bit of pace. So that's what I'm looking at with regards to the thing. But I mean, Everton still play them off the park.
I'd give them credit. I'd agree with it.
I'd give them total credit.
Yeah, I think even
at the right time.
Yeah. I think they'd even I can fully foresee that performance, because I think me and you, Kevin, and Chat, we've seen this Liverpool team time after time this season turn up at a football pitch and be absolutely outrun by probably 90% of the teams we've played up against this season. So we shoot ourselves in the foot, in all honesty. But as Level said there, Liverpool have killed my positivity off this season. Same, I think all of us would agree with that Level. Do you want to not really. They all went out the window this season, Mark, after all the poor results anyway.
Mine is crying in a pillow and drinking beer.
Tweeting some news. How are you doing, matey? Thank you for tuning in. Gakpo only joined us because of Virgil van Dijk. No, I'd disagree. Obviously, Liverpool Football Club was around 130 odd years before Virgil van Dijk. Massive institution. The history, the allure of playing for obviously teams like Liverpool or Manchester United. We are renowned around the whole of Europe. It's folklore. It's European folklore. It's when teams get the football pitch and they absolutely bottle it in certain moments in certain games.
It's up to our midfield to create space for Gakpo, and it's up to do that, because Gakpo shouldn't have to come back and try and win the ball himself all the time. I mean, he's not Bobby Firmino coming in from that left.
Similar with Nunes, I think both of those players are very much, would you say, Kev, being hindered. Fair enough. If those 2 players come into a team that was high flying, that was scoring for fun, and you were not getting goals, weren't making runs, I think even prime Suarez coming back into the team, or prime Gerrard, would very much still struggle to very much get the performance and the desired expectation level.
They've been hindered by the midfield, because the midfield haven't been creative enough. I've noticed that the defence might get the game going. I can see like the centre backs passing it to each other quickly, out to Robertson, out to Trent, and then when it gets to the midfield, that's where it slows down. It gets up forward, they try to speed it up again, but then the midfield isn't quick enough to come up. A prime example of what happened the other night is the only mistake that Bajcetic made in the game last week was when he tried to do a Curtis Jones and make that extra 2 touches. He could have just laid it off to Trent on the side of him, and instead he tried to do this turn back thing that Thiago does. And when he did, he lost the ball. That left him chasing with Thiago running back. But it was up to Thiago then to watch the run of the lad through the midfield. And instead, Robertson and Joe Gomez got brought out to him. And then the ball came across from Traore straight onto a man's foot where Thiago just watched it going forward. He could have just gotten into that position, but also Matt, or what you call it, should have been Matt should have been shouting at him, because he was watching the back post, and he should have said, "Goes in, Thiago, get into that penalty spot." But Thiago was just sauntering back, just making it look like he was getting the run, thinking, "Oh, the lad's going to handle this with the crossing," but it was his position that got called out. So that's where the no protection from the midfield is coming in.
It's the key areas, as you said there, mate. It's like we've all played football, whether that be on five-a-side or Sunday league as youngsters or whatnot. If you make a lapse of concentration at any area of the pitch, the centre halves, you're literally inside the box, or if you make a mistake, the team's through on goal on the counter-attack potentially. Midfield, it is the most important part of a football pitch anyway. If you can control the midfield in 90% of the games in football, you win the game, in all honesty. You can dictate the tempo, the flow, and very much the whole majority of the game if you've got the right midfield players. And as we've seen, when Liverpool have been successful, the athleticism of previous seasons from Liverpool. But yeah, we'll get start 11s up very soon. Obviously, we'll get score predictions in, but make sure everyone's comments are getting read out. Do you feel, as Mark, do we need to pull our socks up? Club position will affect any signings in the future. 100% there, Mark, and I'm not going to get on that bloody Jude Bellingham bandwagon. We just got to focus on ourselves. Whatever happens at the end of the day. And obviously, we've already done previous shows, and obviously the ownership. So if you think about what we think about that, is on the channel, so you can check that out anyway. I can't see Liverpool being up for this game. I can see Liverpool being up for this game, especially under the lights at Anfield. EK, 100%, mate. As I said, what you put that down to, Kev? And chat, what would you put that down to? Is it's one thing that when I've went to the nighttime games as well over the last, since I've been a youngster anyway, it does not. It must just be the atmosphere. A lot of the stadium have really got a couple of bevies in them. They've had the scran and all that.
Nice. They're finished. The day is done. The only thing that they have to look forward to is the game. Yeah, it's the light, and then they're like, just, you're talking, with most people, they're going to the match in the afternoon, or they've got stuff to do in the afternoon as they're getting older. It's only all the lads that go into the town, and stuff like that. But when you're there at the night time, everything, it's something you're looking forward to. All the days football is done. You're just saying there's nothing to lose now. Where it's the end of the day, it's the nights, it's the atmosphere, it's the dark, a couple of bevies in. People just get noisier and noisier. The passion gets bigger. It's just, it's why we do so well in Europe as well. It's just football on the Anfield Lights is just a beautiful looking thing to watch. That stadium looks gorgeous. The atmosphere is on top. The pitch looks lovely. It brings out the best of you as a fan to sit in that, compared to a 12:30 kickoff where you're sitting there and you're a bit bitter and you're just like, what are we going to do later? And it feels like you're just kind of getting through the game because it's the start of the day and then have other things to do and stuff like that. Whereas at night time, there's nothing else but just focus on the game. Your day is done, your weekend is done, everything is done, and you're just ready to go, especially on Monday night game.
Yeah. What would you put that down to as well, Tom? And chat, let me know. Obviously, when you went to the games, when you were in England anyway, mates, watching Everton, what would you put that down to? Was more or less what Kev said.
Kev's like hit the nail on the head. It's like any game that's a late kickoff, or especially on a Monday like kickoff, you're getting through the day and all you can think about is the match. You just want to go finish the day, that's it, and then the match, you're literally pumped up for the game. Then, like you say, these early kickoffs, they just kill you now because you just wake up, you've got to travel to the game, you're just not in the mood, it's bitterly cold as well. And then when you're at the game, you're basically drinking tea. You're not drinking a beer straight away, are you? You want to warm up. So, it's one of them. But I agree with what Kev said there. It's especially with the Derby on a Monday night, late game, everyone's up for it. Let's go. That's what it is.
Aye. We need an early tackle, a clean tackle. Good argy-bargy, Carragher and Neville. Both of them used to be straight in there. They know how to set they get the crowd on song anyway.
I'm predicting this now, and I reckon there'll be a red card in this game for the first time in a long time.
Well, when was the last red card? Oh, chat. I should have really done my research. Big up Owen. Owen's in the chat. Owen's great at his stats. I reckon Owen. Chat. When was the last one? Right. I'm trying to think. When was the last red card in the Liverpool Everton game?
Trying to think how long ago was it? It wasn't recently. Let's put it that way.
Was that the Phil Neville handball?
No, surely
I think there's one before. Yeah, has to be.
Yeah, chat.
Was it Richarlison?
Oh no, Funes Mori. Remember when he got sent off?
Yeah, and he was shaking his turd. He was doing that.
Oh, that.
And then he ended up leaving in the sun. He left in the summer, didn't he?
Yeah, after all that.
Doesn't matter. That's what he was there for.
Well, bloody hell, mad one.
That's one way to try and save yourself from being an absolute donkey on the pitch. Is by just going, oh yeah, I did it for the badge. No, you didn't. Just doing that. At the end of the fans don't go, oh, get this fella off and don't get him on the pitch again. You know.
Yeah.
Save face.
But yeah, Coleman not happy that Gakpo went to Liverpool and playing. We are crap right now. It's the thing in Eamon's in chat. Everyone's so easy. It's like the modern day thing in it. You can jump on, always jump on something when they're down or whatnot. It's the easy cliche thing to say, jump on Liverpool and all that. But yeah, it's Koeman. Is he the Dutch manager now, or is he?
Yeah, he's the Dutch international manager, isn't he? Even apparently, did you see the Van Nistelrooy came out and said as well?
Oh, that was fake quotes. That was massive fake.
Was it fake? Was it fake quotes? Because I don't know. Because there's a few sources.
Anyone can put anything on Twitter, and that's the really concerning thing when people don't fact check. Because I think I read something yesterday that it was a journalist and he was in the press conference on that given, and he was like, "That was absolute utter bull."
Look at the people that are sharing stuff. Anybody like your answer to that right there is ITKs. Would ITKs even be?
You're the biggest ITK, aren't you, Spider? So,
I am, man. Yeah. But ITK, everybody knows I hate transfers. I hate it because of ITKs and because of all this rumor bull. But ITK, they've got a platform on YouTube, and anybody who follows an ITK is an idiot. To be honest with you, if you're an IndyKayla follower or any of these kind of followers, he's a troll account, by the way. And if you're following any of these,
you follow the biggest one, me. Yeah, I'm the biggest one.
You're like let's call it spade. You know, you got your Paul Joyce's, you got your James Pearce, and you got it used to be Melissa Reddy for a while, and then you have
she's bad by the looks of it now. She's bad from the Liverpool press conferences.
She said your man is but it was but it was for a while. But them two guys, and there's a couple of more as well.
The main fella now is it Ornstein at the Athletic. I think, he's the best one for the English.
So these guys know the ones to listen to. So if they're posting something, listen to them. If everybody else is posting something, they're talking naff.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that to YouTube. A lot of, in terms of comments. No, James. I've seen lots of videos today. Everyone coming out, obviously, defend. But it's the thing. If once I get my press qualifications and all that, I'm probably going to get banned from interviewing Jurgen Klopp. I'm going to be banned from getting an interview. This is the thing, the way I look at it. I'll quickly ask you, lads, and chat most importantly. Would you be up for journalists not interviewing their parent club, if you get me, and having more neutral press in the press conferences rather than the press currently interviewing the managers for the given team? Would you rather it be a neutral, or would you rather like the journalist having an affiliation to the club that they're interviewing, if you get me? For me, I'd hope, I don't know what it is in terms of the whole UK, but I'd much prefer the journalist interviewing or asking the questions to be more to not support the club, because they'll get better answers, in all honesty.
I agree with you on that.
They're not really sucking up to the manager or whoever they're interviewing.
I like on one side that there's a journalist there that releases on their behalf information on the club's behalf, and it's straight. I see it, Tom, and I get that there's that they can use a reporter for that, and that works because then you can trust the source when they're starting to post things, because they're a trusted journalist at Liverpool, and they've done it 100% of the past. But yeah, I'd like managers to be grilled by neutral associated, even if it's from the same press group, neutral supporters. But at the same time, that's not going to, it creates a bad tension atmosphere for the managers then, and then the managers really don't want to answer questions if they don't feel like that they have any friends in the room to kind of to quell the questions. So no, they deserve that. They have to answer questions, but they should only be like the problem is that the ones that aren't neutral are asking them questions about the club that they just can't answer because it's belonged to ownerships or something like that.
Yeah.
It's and that's a big talking point that will probably, which very much got brought into the forefront this weekend, where quite wrongfully, Jurgen Klopp, I think he got confused, obviously, with a certain article or whatnot. We don't truly know Jurgen Klopp's reasoning behind, obviously, going at James Pearce. But supposedly people were trying to bring up, obviously, the article that Melissa Reddy brought out a couple of days prior to that interview in the press conference, and then he obviously... But, we're never accustomed to really knowing truly what the motives were behind anything, really. But, as I said, I'd much prefer the journalists in the room to be asking the right questions and their own honesty. And if managers, if it comes to it, I think we will see in the next 2, 3, 5 years, it will be interesting to see how the landscape does change in the journalism scene in terms of whether... Look at Ferguson. Amongst of interviews I used to watch, he's master of it. He said if he didn't like it, he'd just buy it from the press conference. And that's the fear. If any of us were interviewing Fergie or anyone listening or whatnot, you'd probably poo your kecks, in all honesty, because he was a feared man. If he didn't like it, he'd more or less tell you.
I think if it goes down the route where it's just managers getting barraged by too many neutral journalists, what you're going to get then is you're going to get a press liaison. You're not going to get a manager anymore. And you're going to have somebody to come in and answer the questions on his behalf. And they're like, you want him back? Be fair to that. Just ask him about squad things. Just ask about this. And when it just gets to the point where the managers are going in there and they're just kind of going, like, I know what questions are coming and I don't have an answer for you because there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, like it's getting the right answer. No, I would like to see absolutely neutral people getting a hold of owners and referees and asking them questions and saying, why is this decision like this? Why aren't you funding this and that? But I mean, managers can only do so much of what they can do. They have power over players these days. Like there's either a coach or there's a manager. And if you're a manager, you've got a little bit more say. If you're a coach, you're just running the team. So
if it interviews all the referees, they've all got a mank twing to the voice anyway. Because they're all born in Manchester. Surprise.
But to be fair, many years ago they used to interview like certain referees and major decisions, and now they just don't shy away. Now they just obviously they've got to do the match reports, then give it into the FA, and then that's it. That's all you ever hear from these referees now. You don't actually hear an interview from a referee anymore, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Because they're not media trained, they'd end up slipping up somewhere.
Yeah, but but saying that, Mike Dean done a few interviews back in the day, and he just stood by what his decision was. And like everyone knew what Mike Dean used to be like. And even Howard Webb used to come out. This is my decision. I stand by it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Because I'm a Manchester United supporter. Don't start on that. But everyone's smashing it in the comments. I'll quickly read through every single one of them. Make sure I don't miss anyone's. Just quickly go back up, making sure I haven't missed anyone's. Use Port of Sox up, read that one. No, I think it was in relation to, obviously Inzaghi, legendary attacking forward, mate. I think it was in relation to his attitude, really, and his movements, Calvert-Lewin, in relation to, obviously, I think anyone with I
wouldn't compare him straight away. Go on. Let's be serious. He's not Inzaghi. He wasn't Inzaghi, but for that first season under Ancelotti, he looked a bit like his style of play was like Inzaghi.
Yeah, he got the best out of him, to say the least, anyway. It's the thing, mate. It's modern day social media world we live in, mate.
Who's the two players that you mentioned?
The Gappa with Nunes.
When we were discussing Darby, it's a modern day football fan, especially on social media as well.
And let's stop listening to people on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, Twitter just gave people a platform to talk that nobody listens to in a pub.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. They're easy. Oh no, here comes this fella. And he's the guy that's in the pub going, oh shit, here he comes. And that's him on Twitter talking the biggest load of nonsense. So that's the way you have to think about it.
Yeah, big up LJ. And as I said, mate, it is on the horizon, and me and Tom, we've done videos in the past. Obviously, we've done the reaction videos 2 years ago, was it?
Yeah.
But everyone in the dog really knew that it's not going to go away, even if it's a lot of PR chat as well.
I give a spin on the ESL. You know my thing on the ESL. I thought the majority of it was a fantastic idea. The only thing that was wrong with the ESL was not giving teams like West Ham, Everton, or any of these other sides a chance. Even Accrington Stanley should be able to play in the biggest competition on the planet, and that's the thing. What I loved about the ESL was how it was going to look after teams that were maybe injury suppressed and by giving them, extra few hours. There's so many details gone into it. There was 162 million grassroots football gets off of Champions League football. That's down to go down through the line of each country that gets involved. The Super League was going to give grassroots football 486 million. That's triple the money. So that's only going to benefit the leagues in the long term. But the problem is, I'm going to say it straight out, keep the Yankeeism out of football. Stop bringing in things to turn it into like an NFL team. If you take
wait until the halftime shows, boys.
Yeah, yeah, like keep the Americanism or the Yankeeism out of European football, especially, and everything else in that Super League works. And that's the thing. That's what, if you notice, nobody gave out about anything else in the Super League except for, oh my God, they're going to make this. Yeah, nobody's going to be able to be relegated. Maybe there's a rotation of two teams at the bottom or something. Nah, that's not how football works. Football works from grassroots up to fairness. Forest Green Rovers should be able to get into the Champions League if they wanted to, and that's just the way it is. There should be no limit on who gets into a team as long as they're at a professional level. That's our semi-pro to professional level. That's it. Like, yeah.
And we'll probably do another show on it. Well, obviously, there's a lot of interest, and obviously, a lot of the headlines, quite rightly so, in the media today. We're talking about the European Super League, but as I said, they've hired, by the looks of it and by the sounds of it, a lot more of a better PR manager to very much push their ideas. They've re-evaluated their thoughts, and as Spider alluded to, you got some. But it was the fact that everyone was quite complicit and more or less. When UEFA come round with their ideas, they're very similar in certain elements. Because I don't know if you've seen the UEFA Champions League format, and I think is it in the next couple of years to change it. I know they are, and they're adding more games, they're adding more teams, and I'm all for. As I said, I think everyone on the panel tonight and probably chat, we're all for teams. If you're one of the top teams in your league and you're getting the opportunities to play against the best team, sounds. But it's when it becomes about, like, obviously protecting the top elite teams. That's something I don't really like.
Yeah, that has to go.
Yeah, like.
It should have to go. It should go back to the way it was like the European Cups, where there's only the top teams that win the league should actually go through. I don't buy into this like top four and all that, because you're not getting anywhere really. It should have been the top ones that won the league, and then that's it.
Yeah,
simple.
It should be. When did that change? It was in
90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you had different trophies. I mean, you had the Cup, Winners' Cup that was in there. Then you had the
obviously with the changing of Sky Sports, was it?
Yeah, and then UEFA seemed to become UEFA Cup seemed to become a lesser cup because of the Champions League getting developed. Because they had more, like, the normal teams that would go into the UEFA Cup after the winners would have been, elite teams would have been Champions League style teams going into the UEFA Cup, and it was a better competition. But now, that Conference League is what is the level of where you see a lot of UEFA Cup player teams, and now Conference League, that's the kind of teams that you would see as a third tier in there. But UEFA, like, it should have been, it should only be the first cup. But that's only when it was knockout stages. The only reason that they made it more players is because they brought in their own, the
group stages and everything else.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting to be like in the next 5-10 years, chat. If you get knocked out of the Champions League, you're going to obviously the Europa League. You get knocked out of that, you get into the Europa League. And if you get knocked out of that, you go into another league. It's like, Jesus.
It's ridiculous. Like, once you get out of, if you get knocked out of, like, like for instance, Barcelona this year, they didn't qualify in their group stage, they shouldn't be allowed to drop into the Europa League. They've had the chance at the Champions League.
Yeah, it should be if you qualify for the Europa League. It should be the only those teams for me personally.
Yeah, it should be, because it's unfair. Like you say, United have probably been there now, qualified in their group stage in the Europa League, and now they've got to go and play Barcelona.
What about?
Let's be realistic.
what about the top place losers in the Europa League that are knocked out in the next round? What if they get an opportunity to play the people that are knocked out from the Champions League in a playoff? That might be fairer instead of just gifting it to somebody who's being kicked out of another competition. It just seems, So let's say, Arsenal go through and Dynamo Kiev go through, but then you have Galatasaray to finish third, but they were the best third team out of all the other leagues. Maybe they get to play the ones that are knocked out in a one-off game or something like that. That would have been kind of slightly fairer, but.
Well, what they tried to do in the European Championship, in the European Championship, they done that, didn't they, with Portugal when Portugal done it? Portugal got the third place.
Oh, it would like to play like a third place player. When somebody finishes and the best team gets to go into a playoff or something like that. Maybe like how many teams get knocked out of the Champions League in third place and go to European? So that's how many 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8, yeah.
Sorry, if the 8 best teams then out of the UEFA Cup that could have a chance to take these guys on for a once-off match before they start their next rounds, and then you might see some upsets and teams getting through that deserve to get through from the UEFA Cup, or it might work.
Another show for another night, gents.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Well, we can, as I said, we can.
All I know is if we do start the Super League with all these Americanisms involved, when do we get our rings?
Oh, is it?
Mate, when it comes to if it actually does happen and it is Americanized, you'll be getting the games in quarters, not halves. You'll be getting the penalty shootout from the halfway line.
Do you remember that?
And like you said, you'll implement these Super Bowl big massive medallion rings.
Was it Virgil van Dijk and Hendo getting the? But yeah, it's gonna be massive. Yeah. Even though the Cop On podcast, big up Owen. Obviously, I think you were live just before we come on air, mate. So if you're not aware of Owen's channel, obviously predominantly a lot of podcasts, but please do. Obviously, he's got YouTube, as you can see there. Please do head over and support his content as always. Nice one. I
call him Mr. Soothe. He's got the most soothing voice to listen to.
Yeah, much better than all three of us.
This is why he's perfect for podcast. You're sitting there and it's just like, I remember this one time on the Cop.
Much better than me. Much better than me going, yeah, cool.
There's much more articulation to Owen than us. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's why I hate when fans have like 17. That's said. For me, keep football as football, mate. It always has been the case for me, mate. Keep football as football on my channel. The half 12 kickoffs is StreamYard. Wants to wake up. Come on. Wait. Oh my God. Wait, there we go. Sorry, chat. Half 12 kickoff should be scrapped. I'd agree. No build up atmosphere. Barely got to your bracket down yet. I'd agree. Amens.
Especially after Champions League weeks. There should be no Champions League team playing a half 12 on a Saturday. They should be playing on a Sunday or a Monday night and an empty week the following week.
It's all to do with the TV schedule. As we know, every fan, regardless of who you support, these television companies have got so much power. And they dictate every single thing. You only have to listen to a Jurgen Klopp interview, press conference, Sean Dyche press conference. It's absolutely, quite frankly, ridiculous. Sadly, a lot of the things in England do get dictated by the likes of BT and Sky. And lads and chat, what was that thing about? I know no one wants to watch Manchester United, but man, that game wasn't even on telly.
TV.
Yeah, because originally what Sky came out and said, I'm not sure if it was meant to be on BT, but originally the game wasn't meant to be on TV anyway. So they came out and said, well, if it wasn't meant to be on TV, we're not going to put it on TV. But the rest of the world could watch it.
The rest of the world watched it on like the equivalent of like Spanish Virgin Media or whatever it is. Whatever that is.
Sky Bundesliga.
Española. Or whatever it is. But yeah, I'd agree, Eamon. Scrap them all. Clickbait articles, free press, no matter who it is. I'd agree, obviously.
I'm to a point of that, but I just don't like what are they called? Those paparazzi guys that are in everybody's face all the time. I think there's free press, but you ask the right questions and not follow people around like a creep.
I think levels just give up. Colin, I think level Jürgen's in. Jürgen's in Levels bad books, just keeps on calling him Norbert. I know. But yeah, no, it's journalism in every essence is seeking the truth. Yeah. When you bend that for better access or in fear of losing access, you're no longer a journalist. I'd agree with you there, mate. But yeah, no, it's just there's a lot of things have happened in the press. As I said, not going to comment on it because, like I said, I don't know nothing about it. A lot of it is quite made up. There's a thing, the world of Twitter. Yeah, a lot of the nonsense you do see on there is quite sad, really. UEFA Cup, the biggest trophy in the world, in my eyes. What a final! What a final that was.
There's good teams. There's good teams in those seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Buddy Heskey and the boys doing treble for us. But Tom, we'll get to starting 11s chat. We'll obviously, Jack, get your starting 11 in the comment section below, please. Do let me know what you think.
I'm gonna need a beer for this.
Oh yeah. So Tom, let me know for you personally. Obviously, combine it with what you think Sean Dyche should go in. But you're starting 11, mate, for obviously Monday night, if you can, please, man.
Yeah, I personally think he's not going to change. I think it's going to be probably the same if Calvin Lewin's fit. So it's probably going to be Pickford in goal, Coleman, Cody, Stravosky, Michalenko, Gallagher, Decore, Onana, Iwobi, McNeil, and Calvin Lewin up front.
I was going to ask you about. I was going to say the fella that went to Newcastle, but
Gordon.
What were your thoughts on him just before we do round off? Were you one of those fans that were made up that he got 50 million for him?
In a way, in a way, I'm made up that we've got more money than we probably would have ever had. I think, like I said on Doug's channel, I think his head probably got lost after the summer when Chelsea came in for him and asked for 60. And I think ever since that move never happened, he's probably always thought, right, that's it. I'm potentially going to get a big move somewhere else anyway, so I don't care. And I think him leaving in January just shows what type of a player he is. Like, he doesn't want to, even though he's been at the club for, I don't even know what age he was there from, maybe 10, 11, but it just shows you that he didn't have the dedication to fight this year to play for the shirt and have the decency to do it.
Yeah, was in his roof in his head. Yeah,
just another Ross Barkley by all accounts.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I'll probably get somewhere better. And to be fair, 45. All right, it's not 60 million, but 45 million for a prospect is pretty good. I think
6 goals in about 100 odd appearances or so.
I can't remember what the stats were, but it wasn't. It's not the best. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. As I think from a neutral, mate, I looked at it when obviously Barkley broke in, Rodwell to that. You'd probably throw into that mix as well. Though, and when you look at a player like Wayne Rooney, that's when you know a proper player come out of Everton football. Yeah. A player that won Premier Leagues, won Champions Leagues, was at the pinnacle. He was a Scouser on top of the world, and as much as it pains me, but it's always good to see Scousers thriving, whether that be music, football, like anything really. There's nothing that makes a Scouser, whether you're red or blue, you see a Scouser thriving in there, whatever they do. That makes me proud. I know it does for me, and makes the city proud as well. If they're on top. So yeah, I think those two probably, and Rodwell as well, probably thought that they were the next Wayne Rooney. In reality, they were a million miles away from them. And I tell you what, even if those players had the quarter of the career that Rooney had, then I think they'd have a good career. But I'd agree with you there, Tom. I think
the only the difference is between all of them and Rooney. Rooney never wanted to leave. They all wanted to leave. Rooney never wanted to leave. He wanted to stay. But obviously, because of the situation that we were in, he had to leave and we had to generate some money.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you, mate. Spider and chat, as I said, I'm coming to the penultimate. Obviously, we'll get to score predictions at the end.
Go on, boys. What's your first 11?
Before that, I asked Kevin before you asked me, mate. We get to everyone's comments as well, weird leagues as well. Champions League was born in 92, 93. Thought it was Eamon, in around the time.
Leeds was the last team to win the league in 92, 91, 92.
I can remember young James Milner playing at that time as well, wasn't it? Remember them, bloody hell. But big up level. Massive thank you, mate, for tuning in. Hope you have a fantastic night, mate. And as I said, in a bit of fame, go ahead, la. But as I said, mate, hope you have a good night and appreciate you tuning in as always. Well, the TV companies do control the times. They do, Mark, sadly.
Because when you think of it from the TV the company's point of view, they don't want the 12:30 kickoffs between Wolves and Leicester. They want kickoffs with Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Everton, Man City, or Arsenal involved, or Spurs in those games. That's all they want.
It's like, I think all of us, even regardless, like, I love, not more, Joe, with Liverpool on telly. I just love, I'm very privileged to be able to have, obviously, BT and watch some of the games as well. I just love watching football, mate. I'm a student of the game. Well, I don't know everything about it, but I think all of us, even if, obviously, Paramount, you want to be watching Liverpool first and foremost, and Tom obviously watching everything, but I just love watching football. And I'd love it if we had access, I think, especially in England, if you paid, like, of course, like a subscription, like a monthly fee. But is that...
I'm surprised the Premier League haven't come out with their own channel.
Well, does this
basically with all the games?
Like the Premier League version,
they don't get the funding then from the other TV companies. So the money, the billions that are coming in from BT and Sky to buy the rights to the TV stations is what keeps the Premier League going. If the Premier League bring out their own channels and they get subscription companies, they'll get millions in service, but they don't have to do all the work to make that kind of money. And they're making probably, at the moment, they're making about 78% of what they would if they start to bring out their own subscription service in the first 10 years. The first 8 years maybe. So that's the only way I'm looking at it. They'd have to wait 10 years before they see dividends from actually everybody coming over to a Premier League service in every country, and then having to pay the money to those governments to be able to be the only TV company to have it. And there's loads of stuff behind it. There's loads. I'd love to see that. But,
I try and get someone on the future shows, Chas. If you'd like to see that, we'll just talk about it. I'll try and get an expert in that field, as Spider's alluded to.
I thought I was an expert.
No. You don't work. Spider blowing his own trumpet there.
What's this going on?
Do you work for Virgin Media, do you?
No, I don't. No. I don't even work for RTE. Would you wear?
Oh, good, lad. Oh, good. But yeah, I'd agree, Mark. Well, Kev.
I was well chuffed with my answer there as well.
Yeah. Kev, this is Eamon's. Obviously, get to yours.
Ali, Trent, Matip, Gomez, Robbo, Fab. Van Dijk's still not back, even though he's in training, no?
I don't want to put too much pressure. Well, the thing is, I don't want to be putting Van Dijk in when he's not even... Because, as we've seen, and as we discussed tonight, this is going to be a ferocious atmosphere, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. I think both sets of fans, as always, has been in recent times. Too much of a too toxic atmosphere it has been. You only have to look at there was a lot of sensible fans that went to the Liverpool Everton game last season, but the small minority wrecked it for the Everton travelling away fans that absolutely demolished the away stand, which was quite disappointing. But yeah, kids.
It has to be anybody under the age of 25 under the influence, doing stupid things, and they should be banned from their own stadium for life as well. I'd expect the same if Liverpool fans at that age went over and they've learned a lesson. Then imagine being 21 years of age, screaming about the club that you love, and then realizing that your idiocy just got you banned for the rest of your life from watching the club. So,
but your starting 11, mate. That's Eamon's. What would your starting 11 be for Monday night?
I wouldn't play Fab. If I was playing Fab anywhere, I'd nearly play him in defence, I said. But I would have Ali, Trent. If Van Dijk was fit, he has to go in there next to maybe Matip, which is our next best bet. But if Van Dijk isn't fit, it's got to be Matip and Gomez. And then it's got to be Robbo. Robbo's one person that you want in this team. Yeah. And actually, in saying that, I know it's a Scouse game, but I'm thinking, would he start Milner right back over Trent? And because he's done it a few times this season, and he's had great games. He's had actually great games, and I think Tom would hate to see Milner in there before he'd like to see Trent in there. To be honest with you,
I'd rather see Trent, to be honest, but
yeah, exactly. There you go. So, like, that's for me. I think that maybe he'll shock us and start Milner in the right back. So I'm going to change. I'm going to go on Milner. I think it's one of those games that Milner can come in for. Gomez, Matip, and Robbo. Robbo has to be in there as well. Like he's just a raging horse up that left hand side.
It's interesting in relation to Robbo, mate. I don't know if you've seen it, chat as well. If you haven't got social media, there was a lot of stories this week that yet again we've already seen Robbo be a leader on the pitch, and everyone made, of course, a lot about it. Oh, what's good is speaking to the team. I think it was the Brentford game when he was literally got them on the halfway line and he was screaming at them and trying to organise them. At least he's trying to do something. By all accounts, to bring it back, he's meant to have had a right good go at the team, like a leader should be, and he's trying to.
Is that him that gave out? Is he the one that gave out in the dressing
supposedly room? In the dressing room?
Between him and Milner, because him and Milner are very similar outlooks and how football should be played. That's why they became best buddies when they came into the squad straight away. And I think he's an absolute leader. Robbo is like it. I'd have him in there any day as a leader. Like Trent said himself, he grew up and he said, I want to be captain of Liverpool like Steven Gerrard was. But I'm afraid poor Trent doesn't give out enough on the pitch. He doesn't call out anybody on the pitch. He doesn't point out most of the time the pitch. Most of the time he's just kind of staunch and just looking left and right.
He needs to grab to grab the game, would you say, Kev? Which he can, but I think he needs to do a lot more than
he has to realize he has to take his own responsibility. I know he can't just be like backed up all the time, you know. So going back to the midfield for me anyway, like that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to see Milner on the right back. I think he hasn't been started for a couple of games. I think there's been Trent has left Matip wide open on that right hand side a couple of times for goals that have been conceded against us. I've said it since day one. We've said it since day one. Trent should be in midfield, not in right back anymore. His head is gone from right back now. Even though he's still the best crosser of the ball in the team and passer of the ball in the team, he should be in midfield doing it on the right hand side where Hendo normally used to play. And if you put Trent there by Chetic and Thiago, I think you have a fantastic midfield. I think Trent has built up his strength enough that he can start doing that role where he can hold players off, turn on the ball. He just needs to do it from the midfield where he has a bit more space, a bit more. I know he has it right back when we're on the attack, but he can pick up positions that Klopp has got to see it. But anyway, I would go with Milner
midfield. Right I'd go Chetic in the 6 again. Yeah,
by Chetic, Thiago knows how to run a midfield against Everton when he wants to. And is that right attacker? Will he play Keita again? I'd rather see Keita in there over Hendo. And even in that, I'd like to see Elliott in there over. Because I think that Elliott's passion alone, even though he mightn't have the full leg since the injury coming back, he's still not got the 90 minutes of full fitness in him yet, because it's going to take a couple of years for that injury to develop back into pure tissue and muscle. It's good enough to play and not to re-injure, but it's not good enough to keep him above 85%, would you say this is more or less a man's game in terms of the Monday night, mate? And that obviously brings to the point that you mentioned with Milner. I think we've obviously, Tom alluded to, obviously Decore and obviously Onana, two bloody... If Trent starts on right back, I put Milner on the right hand side.
Physical beasts. And I think if you were to put Elliott in that midfield, like it was this season, away at Goodison, him and Carvalho in that midfield three very much drifted for large portions of that game. But
even if Trent if Trent starts on right back, would I see Milner up on that right hand side of that midfield? Instead, because he for a game like this, you bring a James Milner on to kick the crap out of the midfield for 20 minutes, get a yellow card, and then take him off at the start of the second half and bring on somebody else. That's what you need him in there for. That's what he's good at. He's good at bullying players off the ball. He's good at bullying players on the positions. It's fantastic. If Trent plays in the right back, then I want Milner in front of him. If Milner plays in the right back, anyone if Keita, I think Elliott has stepped up in bigger games this season since the time at Goodison. Him and Carvalho shouldn't be played together at the same time. Is what was wrong there. If you'd have played Elliott along with a more senior player, it probably would have been a better game. But the lads get lost in that position. Boy Chetic is a starter for me. even if Fab doesn't play the number 6 and Wojciech plays it, you can nearly play Fab on the right hand side of that just to give more space to Trent to get forward and to protect him defensively. There's a number of things that can happen there, but for me, Milner seems to be getting to go ahead in midfield or either right back on midfield.
So your midfield feeler,
is Wojciech, Thiago, and it all depends on the right back, but I'd say Keita.
Yeah, I go Bajcetic, Milner on that right, and then go with Thiago. You got to play Thiago, haven't you?
But that's saying that Trent starts on right back.
Oh yeah.
If Milner starts on right back, I would go with somebody else there as well. Yeah.
Chas, get your starting 11s in for Liverpool point of view. And you know me, chat. You've seen me bloody reactions. I think Salah, when's the penny going to drop with us, lads? And I tell you what, if he drifts out another game, another 90 minutes, I'm sorry, but what is he doing? For me, there is a world where you could potentially drop Salah, but if Salah can't do it in a derby, what other games can? It'd be very concerning, considering we've got Real Madrid coming up very quickly as well. Spadio, I'd go with Salah on the right. If Jota's fit, I'd say start Jota straight away, because at the end of the day, we're not in a position where we can pick and choose when to pick players. We need to hit the ground running. We need points on the board fundamentally. Yeah. I'd go with Jota and then with Darwin Núñez on the left.
Yeah, I don't think I'm worried about Núñez. Has he got the discipline back from that earlier time of the season when his emotions get high? He looks like he has, but I mean, to get sent off in your first start in the first game, it is
a derby.
It is Everton
versus Porto.
Yeah, it is a derby, and he needs to keep a level head. Now, Jota being back, I can see Jota getting 20 minutes. I think it's a bit too early for the type of injury that he has. So for me, it'd be Salah, Núñez, and Gakpo. I think is what kind of picks itself at the moment, because they're not playing badly. Gakpo's been coming back and covering really well into that midfield and helping the lads out. The problem is, Thiago's just not. Wojciech is. I just want to see Wojciech stick to the game that he did. That was the only disappointment. He's been our best player in the last few weeks, and besides Ali. And my only disappointment is that he did become a bit of a Curtis Jones for that goal, where he does this thing where he tries to turn back like Thiago, because he's playing alongside Thiago. He's got a mentor, and Thiago's been teaching him how to play ball on the ball and retaining the ball. And I think he's been trying it a bit too much when he's doing that cutback, and he got caught doing it when there was a simple ball to Salah and to Trent right in front of him. But he tried to turn back around the player.
That's his youth, though.
That's his youth, his naivety. So I think he's learned his lesson from it. I think he's watched that replay over and over and over and over in his head this week. Yeah. And I think you won't see it again. I think you'll see him playing the simple passes. And then when his confidence gains back up again on the ball, you'll see him making a couple of things like that.
Score predictions, Reds, as well. I've gone 0-0. I think it will be a draw. Tom?
2-1 us.
Oh, Jesus. In a bit, lad. Well, in a bit.
I'm saying 3-1 us. I'm thinking that it's going to be one of those games. I'm thinking something stupid's going to happen, and whether we concede first or not, I'm just thinking you're going to have a Núñez and thinking no matter what, it's still, no matter how good Everton played against Arsenal, it's a derby, It's a different style of game, They coming across an Arsenal team that don't know how to handle it and are afraid to get injured so that they don't ruin the rest of the season by stepping up to the level that Everton were at that night is not the same as Liverpool not giving a shit. It's two different scenarios right there, and I just think that it's at Anfield. I think we'll be up for it. I do think Everton may score.
How many times have we been there though, this season? We've done pre-shows and it's like, it's Anfield. We said this about when we played Man United. We were like, surely you've got to turn up. It's Man United we're playing and we've got performances, but I suppose you've got to be a bit positive, haven't you? I'll tell you what. Hopefully,
but it's just, I'm just thinking, look, Klopp is there. Do you know what I miss as well? I'm wondering, because have you seen it in the last season or so where Klopp has been asked by is it the Premier League to stop some of his antics on the sideline, but yet the rest of the managers are able to run around the place and do what they want. Have you seen how hindered he is? Like
Arteta's got the key of the Premier League at the minute. He can do whatever he wants on.
Yeah, but so when I see Klopp and he used to be hammering down the thing, no, he can't even show it on the pitch, and he's getting sent off the fucking pitch. Like, I mean, that's that's hindering him as a manager because he loves being passionate on the side of the pitch, and I don't understand where, because it looks like he's just kind of sitting there watching it and being pensive, and he's just like, do you know, it's just really why can't I just like barrel out of rage and everything? It's. Remember him running out on the pitch in the game against Everton and and Allison on the pitch.
You remember that, Tom, don't you? Very well.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So, could we bring Divock back for this game on loan?
It'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be great.
It's like for Nunes and Jota when he comes on out to step up, because Jota's got a nice couple of goals against him as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, but Nunes, it's time for Darwin Nunes to make his mark against doing it against the rivals and then go on with confidence, because he's played well. Like it's called a spade. He's missed a couple of chances, and when he early came back, and they were easy enough chances, but he's just rushing everything too much when he gets to the final third. But then he's doing everything else really well. But in the last couple of weeks, I've seen him step up even more so and be more confident and take players on and just destroying them on the wing, coming in and then running through. He's making some beautiful runs through the mid, and I think he can cause Everton. If anybody plays a high line against him, he can cause them hassle.
So, chat, as I said, Spaddy, you went 3-1. I went 0-0. Tom, you went 2-1 to the Ev. Obviously, Eamon's gone 2-0 to the Reds. Hopefully that is the case, Eamon, and we get all 3 points. Big up John as well, mate. Hope you're well. Obviously, Mark saying we've been linked with the Monaco sporting director. We'll be linked with everyone, and even me and Anna will be getting linked with
That's the deal with Julian Ward. How was he recommended that
apparently Everton got Brighton's head scout.
Average? Well, that won't say. Did you? Oh, supposedly. I thought he would have been going to Chelsea. That's if you're Graham Potter, you're disappointed that you haven't got hold of him. I know, in all honesty. But time will tell. As I said, but I hope just need to concede too early. But yeah, we need to actually score first, Mark. That'd be a good one.
You have to know some of the new lads have had a lot of pressure put on them. Like, we're missing Bobby, we're missing Jota, we're missing Diaz, we're missing everybody that was integral to that front, line and backup. I know we're sticking fellas like Nunes, and then they kicked the ball for Liverpool forward, and Gakpo into that didn't know. It's obviously going to take them a season to get up, but they need to play around with seasoned players. And with Salah not turning up because he just doesn't know how to read the game with the other 2 lads next to him, it's just, it's tiring, man. So I think once we get a bit of stability back in there, I think we'll be grand for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but sorry, saying this though, but you have been conceding too early, and you have got the likes of Robbo, Trent, Matip, who were technically your starters. It's only Van Dijk that's only been injured, and you got Gomez coming in there every so often. It's not like you haven't. They've got the experience. It's just you're giving away the early goals. You're not going out there straight away, switching on. It's like, we'll just settle, bounce the ball around, and next when a ball goes over, it's like, oh shit, I thought Matip had it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just not going well.
Normally with Fab and
me too, mate.
Normally with Fab or the lads, or even Henderson on his game when they were at their peak, the ball wouldn't even get that far, so they wouldn't clearing it in front of the lads, or they'd be blocking off where the second ball be picked up. Our biggest problem now is that we're clearing the ball with the defenders, and it's dropping to an opposition player straight away, who's then tapping the ball through on goal to somebody, and that's where we're getting caught. It's those second aerial balls being dropped down, and then these true balls that are just killing us from lads picking up the second ball, where it used to be Fabinho and Henderson cleaning up when the ball was knocked down. That's gone. And that's one of our biggest covering issues. And you're dead right when you're saying when the ball is coming over the top, the lads are starting to panic a bit now because they know they don't have that cushion. They need to be precise and head it out to the wings or bypass their midfield to be able to get it to somebody who's there, because the lads are not getting back quick enough to defend. Thiago comes back late. No, but Bajcetic in the last couple of weeks has looked a bit more solid. He's been in there cleaning up and coming to the edge.
The maddest one, Kev. And I'll ask Tom from an outside point of view is Joe Matip chat as well. I know, and quite rightly so. I lambasted him on my post match.
Yeah,
Matip's probably the last 3-4 years. He's probably one of the. There's been seasons where he's had better seasons than Virgil van Dijk, and especially the last couple of weeks, I'm like, Christ. If he's making mistakes, and as Spider alluded to, you've got players that technically don't usually, obviously, they had one mistake in the mirror throughout the season, but when you've got senior players that, you know, got Matip, we've watched Ibu, yes, he's young and inexperienced, but even when he has played prior to the last, 12 months, last 6 months, yeah. Tom, from as far as alluded to, what from an outside point of view, what is it just a case as far as alluded to, players just making a handful of errors or a lot of the whole team making errors, and then that's had a domino effect on the whole team, really, mate? What would you?
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think it is like a domino effect, and I think a lot of other teams have recognised that now, that they can put players under pressure by just doing things that they're,
quite a lot,
shall we say, uncomfortable, make them uncomfortable. So, like, if, like, you know, they found their weaknesses, like, obviously, Liverpool's now is like, if you look, as soon as that ball goes over, lofted up, Liverpool don't know what to do with it. They don't know either just to let it bounce and let Ali clear it, like, get it, or do they could like take the ball on themselves? Do they knock it sideways? Do they knock it straight to the midfield? They just don't have that. Well, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but I can't think of the word. What is it?
What's it? They don't have the nonce.
Yeah. They just don't. They just. You know, it's quite sad to see it, really, because if you looked at like the last 2 seasons, they just, like, without a blink of an eye, they'll just get rid of it.
Yeah.
They're not streetwise, would you say? Like, not streetwise in terms of like what Virgil van Dijk would offer, or like a certain centre half would.
I even think, even with Van Dijk, even in the team, it still happened.
Oh, yeah, he's been playing quite poor as well.
I don't know. I just think this year is just not right.
Van Dijk, I've noticed he had a big injury, which was a bad one. But the last couple of times he's had a niggling injury, he's played pretty poor. 2 games before, he's like disappeared out of the team. So I'm thinking he's playing with something like a strain or a knock before these games, and you could see that his pace slowing up in that. Remember when he was bypassed in that game? You could see that's what I was saying. There's something up with Van Dijk running, and I said there's something going on with him there, and he's not saying it. And then all of a sudden, after that game, he's out for the period of time that he's out. So I'm thinking like he's feeling it coming on for a couple of games. He's probably keeping an eye on it, but then like he should know himself, you know, bring himself off if he's going to be that kind of poorly. But at the same time, because that midfield cover is gone, it stopped Trent and Robert going forward as much as they used to, because Trent used to bypass Salah all the time.
Oh yeah, our fullbacks we're just bombing on and it just creates space.
Now Salah's blocking Trent from going forward most of the time, and you know, and Robbo is whatever's happened to where the wide players are drifting, where they're drifting. Normally they'd play it up and they'd underlap all the time. Trent would run inside, and then Salah preferred to kind of dip inside a bit where Trent ran outside him, and then you had Mane who always ran the ring, and then Robbo would run inside him, and the ball.
I think that's the biggest thing, Kev. You're spot on.
Yeah.
Like, where you've got players second guessing themselves too many times in this team, and that goes to obviously the mistakes that Alisson's bloody making, as I mentioned with Matip. I think as Kev said, the nail on the head there, chat. We've all spoke to on post matches this season. Liverpool, we all know, and everyone in the whole of Europe, the managers and the players all know Liverpool play our best football when we've got our fullbacks pushing on, bombing on, Trent, Robbo stretching the team. Similar with Manchester City as well. I think obviously them getting rid of Cancelo, whatever you want to read into that. I think even City, obviously they're integrating Erling Haaland into their system, trying to get the best out of him. Even a young Julian Alvarez off the back of a World Cup. I think even City are trying to bed in those two attacking players into their starting 11 with obviously loss of Jesus and obviously certain other players in their team. So it's everyone correctly. So I think all of us we're guessing what Liverpool have done and do week to week, but I think City as well. That's for another night, but you're spot on there, Kev. And obviously we probably will mention that. We'll talk about that in another episode as well, mate. And hopefully that's what we do against the Ev. I do on Monday night.
It was the same, Jack, in 2021, dude. When we had when we lost Henderson at his peak and Fabinho at the peak to the defence, because all of our defence got injured and they had to move back into the defensive role. Yeah, Trent and Robbo dropped completely back. That started slowing us up. Then we lost the 2 lads in the defence, and we had to bring in Reece and Phillips. And like Quebec barely got a kick of a football and all that. And we were still drifting back. It's only when we started playing a bit more solid from the midfielders that freed Trent and Robbo. And then you started seeing us playing and we pulled back like 12 out of 14 points to pull up into the top 4 and get third place. Trent and Robert are so important to getting up the wings to playing for us without even people noticing until the last second they have the ball and the ball is going in the box. That's it was like a sneaky attack on it all the time, and it was an underlap or an overlap, and it wasn't even obvious. Like you wouldn't see like Trent bombing and somebody even have to track him. He would just drift. Robert would just drift. They'd be in position before the defender in front of him knew that they were behind him. And that's the thing. They used to play like triangle football with whoever was up the left hand side and that midfield anchor. And that's what I want to see more out of Thiago as well. Because sometimes I think he slows up the play a small bit, rather than just taking it, releasing it back out to the left to the person that can cross it in early. Because that causes mayhem. Now we're drifting, he's looking, and maybe then there's a chip to the other side of the thing. Then we're dragging it back again, pulling it back to the midfield, which is okay when you're being patient. But when there's an opportunity to really tear through a team, you need to be getting it to Robbo and Trent across on the ball.
Do you think that Klopp's done that on purpose though, and said that? He said to like Robbo and Trent and said, don't go up the field too much because Thiago can't fucking pass the ball to you because he slows the game down.
That's only natural though, lad, isn't it? Like we've all probably played Sunday League or whatnot. Like if you're like certain areas your team are getting absolutely battered, or like you're getting overlapped, or you're getting targeted. I think it's, from a tactical sense, you're spot on there. So it's probably natural to say the least. And I think that's, as we mentioned, the width in Liverpool. There's a lack of width. You're seeing, as Barry alluded to, Salah stopping Trent in certain moments, just getting in the way. Like Salah, as we all know, plays his best football when he's in the opposition box or he's inside those right-hand channels where he's getting involved. And for me, and I think all of us, every Liverpool fan knows, Salah's teams are just isolating Salah and they're pinning Trent and Salah back. And then if you can do that, you can very much shut down Liverpool quite easily, boys. But
it's because you see we had players like Henderson at his peak hanging at the edge of the right-hand side of the box where he would receive the ball and then he'd get pressed by the defence and all of a sudden you had Salah free going through the middle and you had Trent free going up the right. And then that gap would be there to either play it through to one of them or the other. That hasn't been happening because Trent hasn't been on his game. And when he's received the ball, it's just been a constant blind whip into the box or a constant loop and chip that just, has annoyed me to no end because I've been very vocal about it this season. Instead of just playing the right thing, keeping the possession and just dominating the team, tiring the other team out, it's just been too rushed at some occasions, Whereas before we would receive the ball, pass it fast. Then it was quick pass and quick movement back and forward until that gap was created. And now they're not being as patient. It's like because I said they are mentally tired and knackered. They're just getting to a point where just like one of them is just going, "Oh, just get it in there." And then and it's kind of come to that.
It's like they've almost like they forgot what they've meant to be doing, and it's their role basically. It's like, oh fuck it, I'm not going to give it to him this week. I'm just going to lob it into the box.
That tired mentality block has just not got him thinking the way Liverpool play.
And you can see Klopp on the touchline as well doing his absolute nothing. Like he's fuming. You can see him screaming at the touchline.
Most of the time he's screaming at Diego as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He's been screaming at him. Yeah.
Yeah, but chat, bloody hell. I just noticed the time. Sorry, gents, on the panel as well. Bloody, you've had your time for bloody an hour and 40 minutes. And everyone in chat, if you've been here since second numero uno from the very beginning, then I really do appreciate it. But we'll get to everyone's comments. As I said, I'm not slow in reading. Well, I am slow in reading the comments, but I'm making sure I haven't missed anyone's comments. Brian, that's frustrating thing, Brian, but mad. It's psychologically, as we've all said on tonight as well. I think the only way to do that, fix that, is just getting on the pitch and getting down and dirty, really, and get the performances, most importantly. Big up Scouse, even all stop by and drop the like, but he's gone 4-2 Liverpool. Big up, mate.
Yeah, that's a good show as well. Yeah, for a call. Also, Jack, because I'm doing the Hogwarts Legacy stream and all this kind of. It's grand. I just did a spell of Immobilis, so as you know, the stream is just frozen there for a while. So that's why I'm here longer tonight. Immobilis.
Okay. So hopefully we can do that with Liverpool, mate. But
I know, yeah.
But yeah, big up, mate. Yes, John. Yeah, not too bad. Canate really needs to play 20 in a row in his league games, always in and out. 100% there, but I know I always keep on pinpointing it, but the fact that for such a young player, because if you play for Real Madrid, Liverpool, City, whoever, he come in that Champions League final and he was our best player by a bloody country mile. He was controlling that. Well, it was more or less Canate against Real Madrid's back line every single occasion, and he dealt with it. Apart from that 1%, not just Canate, but Liverpool's back line, one ball behind the back, but he'll learn from that experience. And as I said, you look at the fee in which we signed him for in this current climate, in the modern day environment of transfer fees, it's a bloody snip. In all honesty, he's ridiculous. And I think he will become one of Liverpool's senior players for such a young lad. If you're speaking about captains, potentially long term, Ebu, I said, if he keeps on putting in the right performances, matures in this Liverpool team, I think you've very much got a leader amongst men very early on.
He's playing next to Virgil van Dijk with the talent that he has at the moment, and you take Virgil van Dijk's calmness and ability to read position and game, and he's going to become even better than Matt Van Dijk. I think is in the next few years. When you get to a point, like we'll always talk about Van Dijk being a world star, but there's a potential for, I should say, that can become, because he's bulkier, he's bigger, and he's really good in the air as well, and he's quick. He's quicker than most of the defence that we have as well, and people don't notice. I know Joe Gomez is probably our fastest defender, but I think Ibu's just as quick on his day.
Oh,
when he gets across, he's rapid, So yeah, easily. So there's a potential there for him to become world class. He just needs, as the lad said, he needs that 20 odd games a season in a row. But he's young. He's developing hamstring muscles, calf muscles. At least they're not tears and rips and ligament. Once you start getting them, it's kind of, you've got issues, but it's just strains, so that's a good thing. It just means that he's working his arse off or overworking himself a bit too much.
Yeah, and I love his personality as well. We haven't seen the interviews he's done. He's
very disappointed in Diogo, by the way.
Yeah, just say hello, Jack. And Jack.
That's no way to say hello to me. I'm sorry,
hello, Jack.
Where's the World UFC that?
Yeah, there we go.
It's not even that. It's not even that time. It's just every
time. Oh yeah, no, there we go.
Oh, there he is.
There we go.
That's more like it. That's more like it.
Hello. There you go. Big up, Jose. And Jose, I hope you get on the pitch on Monday night and score, and then run to the away section and was it the celebration? Do that. I love his celebration. Jose is probably the best Liverpool player for winding up opposition. Like, he's very aware. Remember last season when obviously the horrible stuff the Leicester fans were singing, absolute nonsense, disgusting stuff, quite frankly. And he'd come on and he said in his post-match interview, he's like, I was listening to that. Like, basically the Leicester fans singing, we're going to Wembley when they were winning as well. And then Jose come on. Hopefully you scored against Yev, mate, on Monday. But hopefully had a good day,
he's a FIFA player, and a top FIFA player. He knows how to wake people up.
Yeah. Was it the but big up Jose. Our midfield is Pubble Onana will have a field day. Yeah, we spoke about that at the top of the show, Brian. We did. Obviously, when Tom was just alluding to what he done well against Arsenal. Salah isolates himself a lot this season. Yeah. 100% agree with you. Mark, 100% makes it great. 10 yards deeper, Trent and Robbo. Still bombs, but he's on the back foot more because of what's ahead of him. That means Trent doesn't have the big switch on. 100% agree with you, Brian. The days of Virgil van Dijk standing on the halfway line are over. I'd agree, Amons, but I think we'd go back to that if we had a more culpable and a more reliable midfield in front of him, mate. In front of that defence. It's the fact that when we're all watching Alisson making mistakes, and you're like, what are you doing? Alisson's one of the most... I'll tell you what, we all know, every Liverpool fan, if we didn't have Alisson between the sticks for the last, 12, 15 months, wouldn't even be reaching the mid-table mark most of these seasons.
Brian hit the nail on the head there. That's what I've noticed about Trent being able to run forward a bit more when Konate comes in and slides and takes whoever out behind him. Whereas Joe Gomez steps up to him, and for some reason the ball will just go between his legs or do something stupid, or somebody just bypasses him so easy on that right hand side. So like Joe Gomez had one good season for us next to Van Dijk, and that 20 before the season that we lost the final against Real Madrid the first time around. Then he got that bad injury, and ever since then it's
when we won the league, wasn't it, that year?
When he won the league, he stepped up as well. Yeah, he was. Yeah, but Matip was the same. He played that league as well. It was the time that we lost the season before we won the Champions League. Is when Joe was there, and then Matip was there for the rest of the season when we won the Champions League, when we won the league, and Joe was coming back from a horrendous injury. But I think ever since then he's never stepped back up to his potential. It's there, but it's just his concentration levels are just gone in the pitch most of the time. He's never looking over his shoulder. It's always at the last second when he's about to hit a ball that he realizes someone's on top of him. But yeah, it's Trent or Konate is much better. Even even Matip is much better than Joe for covering on that right hand side. Definitely.
Yeah. Mark, John Henry soon. Yeah. Oh, I doubt that, Mark. Bloody hell. Yeah, there's no chance of that, mate. And we've already spoken about Manchester City, as I said. Ridiculous. There's been a lot of content from everyone, and quite so weighing in on debate, but time will tell. And I think, chat, as we all know, it won't be resolved in the next two. It's going to look like the next 3-4 years. Obviously, if they come back and deny it all, City, then of course they'll have to. It's going to take so much time, but hopefully, whatever the outcome, it's done properly and fairly. In all honesty, and we get the right enough evidence. If City don't want to corroborate, then sounds. The Premier League and whoever's investigating needs to be there and be able to get the right information off the club. But if not, throw the book at them, because as I said, it's basically sports open and it's getting a jump on the opposition, really, and it's not good to see. I loved Leicester's title winning season. I think all of us did, as much as Liverpool were poor that year. But I think as a football purist and every single fan up and down the country, love seeing Leicester go on that run. Because the pundits, every single match week on it, boys and chat, you're going, oh, they'll tail off. They'll tail off. They never. He's stuck in there. Jamie Vardy, his vodka Red Bulls and all that, like just going absolutely mad. But, yeah, now he's. But yeah, I love that title. That's the best of what football has to offer. Do you reckon it'll happen again, boys?
Yeah, Arsenal are doing it this season. They've been shocking for 20 years.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, it'll be interesting. But yeah, Snipe Stream. Gomez looks like he's a 50 million defender, but Graspin is being replaced with. But I tell you what, he's a good little player. Is it Kim, the Napoli centre half? Obviously, I think he's one that slipped under the radar. You look at that Napoli team, just to cut the cap off. I tell you what, he's a lot of very talented players. Even Osimhen. Well, Napoli absolutely slapped our ass this season, as we remember already in the Champions League. Remember that game, but they are absolutely doing tremendous work in Serie A. I think there's 15, 20 points played or something mad. But yeah, it's playing very well. But Spider, massive thank you for coming on, mate. Please do shout out what content you've got coming up, mate, and where everyone can find you,
I'll be doing a watch along for the Everton game this Monday. Most of this week, I am gone full. Well, I'm not going to say Harry Potter because it's Hogwarts. But I'm going full Hogwarts. Kev. I'm a wizard. And you're a wizard, Kev. I'm a wizard, Kev. But yeah, I'm streaming every night on Irish Spider Guy on Twitch and every day actually as much as I can because it's such a big game. It's got so long. It's going to take like 250 hours to even complete it or do anything in it. And then you got to do it 3 more times in different houses. But yeah, I'm playing Hogwarts Legacy at the moment, and I'm about 16 or 17 hours in, and I've got 2% of the story done. So that'll tell you how big it is, yeah, you know. So I'll be live on that straight after this, getting everything ready, and I'm setting it up. So that should be a good crack. And it is beautiful. The game is just phenomenal. So yeah, I'll enjoy that. And on Spider LFC stuff, just the usual watch alongs.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. Appreciate it. Tom, I'm gonna say, what Everton forums can we find you in? Can we find you in?
You can find me hiding under the cave, mate. That's all I mean, under a rock.
Yeah, Tom would be the first one to contact me if Everton do get a result chat. But a massive thank you, Tom, for coming on, mate, giving us all the Everton perspective as well. As I said, mate, always a pleasure getting you on, and a massive thank you for taking time out, similar with Kev as well. Appreciate you jumping on, mate, taking time out, and everyone. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. As I said, top of the show, the title, no subtitles are included in this episode, so I'm not apologizing because should be able to translate it by now. But a massive thank you to every single one of you. Big up Mark, big up Eamons, big up every single one of you. Being that many of you in, and as I said, everyone, I really do appreciate you all tuning in, whether you've tuned in for 2 seconds, 5 minutes, or if you're an absolute legend, the whole hour and 53 minutes. A massive thank you and much love to every single one of you. But chat, we'll be live tomorrow for another episode. Probably there'll be something breaking, hopefully. sort of news relating. But if not, we'll be here live tomorrow. And well, Spider, thank you for jumping on, mate. Tom, as always, thank you. And as always, Reds, look after yourselves. As I said, have a lovely rest of your Thursday night. And as I said, nearly the weekend. Get past Friday, going to work with a good spring in your step. Enjoy it. And I said, look after yourselves. And if you are going out Friday night, look after yourselves. And I will see you tomorrow, which I should be joined by Ricky and Luke tomorrow night, which should be fun. So, yeah, keep an eye on the channel for that. But, yeah, I'll let Spider, I was going to say play us out, but I don't know. Do you want to sing us out, lad?
You haven't won a trophy. You haven't won a trophy. You haven't won a trophy.
See you later, everyone.
Since 1995.